This is what it's like traveling from Lithuania up to Finland in the dead of winter. Well, kind of, but a lot of things didn't go as expected either. It all started in one of Europe's most beautiful old towns. Good afternoon there. From Vilnius, Lithuania. Most years I come over here for Christmas. As you might know, my wife's Lithuanian, she's from Vilnius. You gotta come visit the fam. But this year was different. It's usually cloudy, it's often a lot colder, and I rarely even find enough time between rounds of smoked fish eating to even explore it all. No, this wasn't a normal Christmas visit at all. I even made it into the very heart of the city, Cathedral Square. Obviously, with a name like that, it's gotta have a big cathedral, and I was even lucky enough to walk in right during the Christmas festivities. It's a pretty place, and right next to it, the annual Christmas market was bustling. I mean, just in that square, there's so much going on. And as I walked around the old town, I don't think I'd ever seen it busier than it was that day. Things to eat and drink, holiday spirit, and even people selling stuff. For a minute, I even considered quitting YouTube. 1 piece of amber, 4 lite. But then I realized I'm just not very good at selling amber. But I'd been really hoping that I'd get some real winter weather, snow and all. And if you take a look, today for me is the day after Christmas. Here it's the second day of Christmas. It's very, very sunny. So although it's very nice over here in the old town, instead of this, let's go over to Vilnius Airport, Vilnius Oro Uosto, and catch a flight up to Helsinki, Finland. Too early. But let's be honest, that's a price I've always been willing to pay when it comes to travel. Sometimes you've just got to take the earlier flight. So, today, I'm taking Finnair up to Helsinki. But there's been a little bit of an issue over here at Vilnius Airport lately, with the Belarusians sending over balloons full of contraband cigarettes. And there's been a lot of cancellations. So let's see if everything's a-okay and normal with my flight. This airport hasn't always looked this sparkling and shiny. They got a new terminal over here. So I made my way up the escalator to the security line. Even though the airport was kind of busy for the holiday season, I'd made it past security in just about 5 minutes. So with some time to spare, I headed over to the Narbutas Business Lounge. Guess who I bumped into there? Orijus Gasanovas. This airport's only got one lounge, but it's actually a pretty solid one, and you can access it with basically any type of lounge access you could imagine. If you've got status with the airline you're flying, or you're flying business class, you almost always have access to this lounge. But also, if you have priority pass, you've got access to this lounge. And depending on the type of priority pass membership you've got, you might even have access plus unlimited guests. I had no problem getting my wife and her sister in here. So for sure you can at least bring 2 guests. But right now it looks like it's a little bit colder over in Helsinki. And there is a chance of snow. If we're lucky, we might be in store for something more like what you think of when you think of Northern European winter. Let's head over to the gate, board our flight, and once we make it over to Helsinki, we can find out. Have free candy. Off to the gate we go then. It's quite the foggy day out there. Let's see what it's like to take off. Helsinki. Looks like we're gonna depart on time. The only little catch is that we're on a very tiny ATR plane, propeller plane, so we gotta take a bus to it. You wouldn't think it, but this plane only fits like 70 people, so it could be a full flight. And we're pretty much parked as far away from the airport as possible. And these are really fun. You just board from the back. I've got to admit, this is a little bit more wintry than it was yesterday. But oh well, I'm about to board the plane now. There's no going back from this. Itsy bitsy teeny weeny ATR plane. Propeller. And well, the experience traveling between Lithuania and Helsinki in the middle of winter, it's a little bit of a tight fit on Finnair. But I guess we'll be there in an hour and a half. Luckily, there didn't turn out to be any delays at all, and pretty soon we had taken off, flying up out of the rain into the thick clouds. But the truth about these kinds of planes is that they're very loud. So, there's just something comforting about sitting in 5A right next to the propeller. There's not always been these little planes that they fly to and from Vilnius Airport from Helsinki, but right now with the balloons, they actually canceled one of their 3 daily flights, and now it's just 2 flights a day. For whatever reason, some of the Lithuanian officials determined that it's much better to fly during the day and not at night if you want to avoid the random balloons. But they did arrest some of the people that were I guess, aiding the Belarusians to get the balloons in on the Lithuanian side. So really now the main issue is that Finnair has just canceled all of their evening flights to Vilnius. It's truly some weird shit, all for some counterfeit cigarettes. At least they give you blueberry juice on this airline. Taste of from concentrate blueberries. Kind of tastes like grape juice. But this turbulence is actually a good sign, because you can see we're now flying into a cloud into some real northern European winter. I mean, this is a pretty short flight, only a little bit over an hour long, but from that point on, so maybe the last 40 minutes or so, it was pretty consistently turbulent. But as we shook our way in and out of the clouds, there were a pretty lot of cool views to be had. With all the turbulence, I probably wouldn't have wanted to spend any more time on board, but after a smooth enough landing, we'd made it to our parking spot. And just like that, Helsinki. Real European winter? That's enough of that ATR though. All I've got to do now is get out of Helsinki Airport. And I love how easy Helsinki Airport is on these Schengen flights. You just go through here and you're right out to the train. Ooh. If you check baggage, this is where you get it. Fun fact. Helsinki has some of the best drinking water in the world. It really tastes good. And I can see we've got semi-sunny skies. A little tip, if you're ever taking the train over at Helsinki Airport, save yourself about 10 minutes and take the elevator, because the stairs, or not the stairs, but the escalator is really, really long. Although that's also an experience in itself. See, really, really, really long. So instead of, okay, fine, maybe not 10 minutes, probably more like 5 minutes. In about 7 seconds, you've made your way down to the railway station. And a lot of people don't realize this, but this is the northernmost underground train station in the world. And since my last visit over here to Helsinki, they've upgraded their train system a little bit. You can now just tap your credit card to board. You don't even have to buy a ticket or anything. This time, I'm going a little bit over to the outskirts of town, and I just need to find the station I'm supposed to get to. So it should be this train in the direction of Helsinki. The center of Helsinki, that is. Are you familiar with Helsinki by chance? Yes. If we're going here, do you know which travel zone that might be? It's like,
you have to go where?
Gonna go on the tram. Well, we're going to this Helsinki, I can't say it, sorry.
Okay, that's where we are going as well.
Oh, cool, okay.
It's the last station, yes.
That's the last station?
Yes.
Okay, so we should buy to zone B?
ABC.
ABC. Okay, thank you so much. €9.46. It's definitely nice that Finnair at least gives you something to drink, unlike some other European carriers these days, but I'm still hungry. They don't have anything for free to eat, at least. You gotta buy the food on board. This right here is a Lithuanian classic, the Nomeda candy bar. They come in a few different flavors, but this one has melon and ginger inside. And it's a little bit sweet, but it's got a really nice flavor profile. A little bit of that ginger cutting through, and then, well, it's kind of like if you covered a honeydew melon in chocolate and added a little bit of extra sugar. It's a good snack for the ride. So the flight I took from Lithuania up here to Finland is basically just straight north. Like, I'm here at the very end of December. Right now it's December 27th, and you can see the sun is almost fixing to set already. So basically there's a few different routes we could have taken, but we're staying near a tram line, and I love riding trams, so surprise, I decided we're going to be taking the tram route. And well, when I looked in Google Maps, the thing was actually just telling me to go here to Helsinki Central Station, but I know 0 words of Finnish, besides how to say thank you and stuff, so I didn't realize I'd be headed right into the center of the city. So we've tracked down the tram stop here, and we're headed to Vastuviksvägen, the very last stop on line 4. Not my tram yet, but while I'm waiting, just right across the street from the tram station is the Amos Rex Museum. There's also another cool museum up that way, but the Amos Rex Museum is really a unique place. If I hadn't visited it already, I would definitely be making my first stop there, but today we're gonna get a little bit further outside of the city. It's tram number 4. And I got in at the center, so the tram was kind of full then, but it's emptied out really quick. We'll see if we're not the last two on this tram by the time we get to the final stop. And one nice thing about public transport here in Helsinki is you can see they've got these tap machines just like in the train, but you only need to tap once. At least with the ABC tickets we get a 90-minute period before we have to pay anything else, so it's like one connecting ticket. And we've made it over here to the final stop right by the sea. And that's the hotel I'll be staying at. It's really nice to take the tram in Helsinki. And the Hilton I'd booked for 2 nights is only a short walk away from the last station on the tram line. So this is a little bit of an older hotel. It looks like it was built in, I don't know, like the 1960s or something if I had to guess, but what a view. And this room is actually an upgraded room. This isn't what I booked originally. I just booked the regular standard economy type room. I can't remember the exact wording, but then they moved us to this other building that has a nice sea view. And one kind of interesting thing is I saw they have these igloos, and you can stay in those, and I think they actually give you access to a second room because, I don't know, maybe they're cold or something in the winter, not really sure. But the price for that was a little bit outrageous. For 2 nights at this hotel, I actually only paid 87 euros plus 35,000 Hilton points, so pretty cheap for an actual Hilton. It's a little bit out of the way from the center of the city, but it's also really easy to just take the tram line in there like I just did. That was only about a 20-minute, maybe even less than a 20-minute ride, and all around here you've got tons of places to go out, take a walk, and enjoy nature. But even though this probably isn't the newest hotel in town, it's very well maintained and nice looking. In this type of room, you get a bathtub, and it seems like just the right kind of place to enjoy a little bit of nature without even leaving the city of Helsinki. So yeah, down there is a beach. This is basically your winter Finnish beach vacation. And the sun is just about to set, so before it's too dark, let's take a little bit of a walk around here. It's really windy down by the beach, just like Bali. And there the sun is just setting right now. It's like the exact minute that the sun's setting. Super windy. Super beautiful though. If I were Finnish, I would have already stripped down naked and just ran into this cold, cold water to take a swim. But do I look Finnish to you bundled up like this? So, as the sun is setting, that leaves us a little bit of time for a nice walk all along the coast here. And this is just our first little walk in the area. We've got 2 days here, luckily. So we thought we'd just take the kind of straight shot from the hotel back there that you see and go along this path. Despite it being cold and windy, there seem to be plenty of people out and about. And yeah, it is kind of a residential area with a lot of nature everywhere, but the buildings that I was seeing sort of remind me of a few different places I visited in Europe. I guess it's kind of like a place where some influences from Germanic culture in general, Nordic cultures, and also some aspects from the Baltic cultures just kind of meet a little bit. And I mean, of course, it's very Finnish. It's one of the most unique countries I've ever visited, like in the entire world. I guess I always kind of think of it as being a little bit traditional, very quiet, but also a place where there's just like a very deep culture and people do things a very certain way. But architecture-wise, it seems to be mostly apartment buildings around here. And yeah, I could imagine some of them being in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and maybe even Western Germany. So, now that the sun has really completely set, it's 3:08 p.m. It's time for some coffee, and luckily, just up there, back not too far from the hotel I'm staying at, there's a coffee shop. Even though it's probably fairly obvious that you can't grow coffee in Finland, per capita, this country is actually the biggest consumer of coffee in the entire world. So in my experience, a coffee shop is usually not too hard to find. And one cool thing, to me at least, as an American, is that, like in America, you get all-you-can-drink coffee in Finland. It's actually pretty tasty. Now right outside it's definitely very cold, but inside here, you see these lights going and it's very hygge. That's the Nordic term. It just means like comfy, cozy, and the fact that it was just Christmas means they still got some decorations up. This is just the kind of cafe you'll find all over the country of Finland. And it may be very, very hygge inside, but outside it's just started snowing. So it looks like that Northern European experience that we were looking for is about to happen. Oh my, and I think I found the most Finnish thing. They're playing soccer, aka football, in the snow. So over here in Helsinki during the darkest parts of winter, you only have like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours of daylight to work with. So you can see people are just used to doing everything in the dark as well. But when you go further up north to Lapland, right now they actually have the polar night and it's just dark all the time. But 4:30 p.m., close enough to dinner time for me, I guess. So when in Finland, eat Nepalese food, right? I guess so. Nice fish tank. And here we are at the Royal Pokara. This used to be a different restaurant. Or is that the same?
It was before this restaurant here.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
our owner bought from them.
Ah,
So
okay.
it is one of the famous restaurant in the Helsinki.
Ah,
here in
okay.
Finland.
Like a Finnish style
Yeah,
restaurant.
like
Cool.
Finnish restaurant, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
It is all the picture of history of Finland.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, something connected with the history.
Yeah, what is your name?
My Goma.
Goma,
Yes,
David.
no,
Nice to meet you.
David. Nice to meet
Pleasure.
you. You too. And welcome here.
Thank you so much. And I guess there's some similarities to India, Pakistan, all those countries. But there's a Finnish flair here. They give you this little sauce to dip with for the starter thing. It's kind of tomatoey. It's kind of like maybe not as spicy as you'd find in Nepal, if I'm guessing. So I've not been to Nepal yet, but it's also kind of nice. A special Nepalese soup. It smells full spices, tomatoey. Like some ramen noodles sprinkled on top. And there's like shrimp in here. There's like chicken in here. Okay, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of elements of European flavors.
It's good.
It's nice, yeah.
This is naan bread and this is your really special thali.
Huge. Thank you. And not just any old thali here, but a royal thali. So there's different spiced meats and lentil-based stuff and a salad, basmati rice, and more basmati rice in the format of biryani. And this is what must be the cutest mango lassi holder on earth. I guess your typical mango lassi. Lots of mango pulp in there, a little bit salty as well, and tasty. And bread. Finland is not exactly a cheap place to visit, and Helsinki's the most expensive place in the country, aside from Lapland in winter. But for under 50 euros, you do get quite a lot of Nepalese food at this restaurant. A little salad, paneer, and shrimp. And I guess this one should be like a chicken tikka. I don't think Finland is like a place where they eat tons and tons of spicy food, but there's a little bit of flavor in this food. And naan is always nice. I'm sure you've seen me eat biryani in my Saudi Arabia video in Medina. But what's a Nepalese biryani like? Aha, chicken and lamb. And a sweet yogurt sauce. If this weren't sweet, and you would put it over here and add some hot sauce, it would taste pretty much identical to a chicken and lamb over rice from a New York City street vendor. Delicious. For me, South Asian food also means combine the starches as much as you can. And how nice of them, they gave us some Nepalese tea on the house. Strong cardamom flavor, pretty sweet. Some other spices in there for sure. Reminds me a little bit of chai from the neighboring countries. Very nice. So the Royal Pokara, good vibes.
Yeah, very nice.
Spices,
Yeah, good.
some. An interesting education on Nepal while traveling in Finland. That's the thing. No matter where you go, one thing is bound to happen if you visit there with at least a semi-open mind. You're going to meet someone from another place that's going to inspire you to travel again. But although it's been dark here for 4 hours now,
Yep.
quite a while, it's finally come to time that it's supposed to be dark. It's like 6:30 p.m. or something. So while a white Christmas is not at all a guarantee in Northern Europe, at least these days, you'll definitely find cozy corners back in Lithuania and clearly in Finland as well. And for the record, we did get some of that quintessential Northern European winter too. And, well, what can I say? We ended up spending 2 beautiful days over here on the outskirts of Helsinki, eating to our heart's content, visiting the sauna in the hotel, and just having nice walks around the area. And finally, the exact image of what you think of when you hear the words Finland and winter together showed up. It's really kind of hard to believe you're even in a city when you walk around here. I mean, there's just so much natural beauty. Oh yeah, and I really did see a ton of people swimming in the freezing cold water. I mean, the hotel sauna was really nice and toasty. I think it'd be safe to say it offers the true Finnish experience, but even after 15 minutes or half an hour in there, somehow I just have some trouble imagining myself jumping into that ice cold water. I guess you never really know if you like something till you try it, but I've gotta say, I didn't try it. And as for the nature all around this part of Helsinki, well, it definitely looks even more beautiful when it's covered in a blanket of snow. I mean, it's even within an easy walk of this island that features a free open air park and lots of different kinds of traditional buildings and beautiful nature. There's even a traditional boat or two sitting around here. I mean, I'm not trying to say that Finland's one of the cheapest places in Europe you can visit or anything like that, but you can definitely come here during one of the popular seasons, like I'm doing right now in winter, and not spend that much money. I mean, all in all, the cost of the hotel included, both my wife and I combined have spent a little bit less than 200 euros here for everything. Food, transport, a place to stay, things to do. Oh, we were actually gonna call somebody, but there's no phone. That's something I always find enjoyable, and I guess you could just call it cute if you wanted. Fine, let's just call it cute. Is that Finnish nature is deeply, deeply embedded in Finnish culture. And people love to go out and enjoy their nature here and decorate it too, especially during the holiday times. In my experience here, people are usually pretty reserved. Well, unless there's a lot of alcohol involved, which is often the case here. So as a result, it may not be the type of place where you run up to someone with your camera rolling and they don't really mind. But once you get to talking to people, they're very warm in their own way here too. But the truth of the matter is that we're only on a short stopover over here in Helsinki. See, Helsinki Airport is pretty well connected with other continents, and we're actually on our way to another part of the world. But this has turned out to be quite the snowstorm, and our flight is in just a few hours, so we're gonna have to see if it takes off on time or not. The storm's clearly not phasing anybody around here, but let's see how that affects aviation. As for this video though, we got our true Finnish winter, and it's starting to seem like a gift that just keeps on giving. But if you enjoyed watching this, going on this journey with me, don't forget to give this video a like, or if you hated it, make sure to give it a dislike. Make sure you're subscribed too, and I'll see you in the next one.